Welcome to this 15-minute lecture on the fundamentals of emboli detection in cerebral circulation using transcranial Doppler TCD ultrasound. Under normal physiological conditions, emboli should not travel to the brain. However, in patients with an elevated risk of stroke, small solid emboli may be detected. These are identified as microembolic signals, or MES, during TCD recordings. Detecting MES can guide treatment strategies aimed at eliminating the source of emboli, potentially preventing one or more debilitating strokes. My name is Ruud Koenen, a stroke neurologist and clinical neurophysiologist based in The Hague, the Netherlands. My interest in embolus detection and stroke prevention using transcranial Doppler began during my doctoral research in 1990. Over the past 30 years, I have published more than 50 articles in the field of neurology, several of which introduce innovative algorithms for detecting both solid and gaseous emboli in the bloodstream. To support the continued development and validation of TCD-based embolus detection software, I founded Koenen Medical in 2008. My mission is to raise awareness within the medical community and to promote the implementation of TCD-based stroke prevention protocols for patients at elevated risk. In recognition of these efforts, I was honored with a royal distinction in 2021. I would like to disclose that my emboli detection algorithms are commercially distributed by Delica, a manufacturer of transcranial Doppler systems based in Shenzhen, China. In this presentation, I will cover a brief history of emboli detection using TCD, real MS examples and diagnostic criteria, a comparison of normal TCD background signal, speckle, emboli, and artifacts, and a concise take-home message to summarize the key points. Let's begin with a short historical overview of TCD embolus detection. Here we see the pioneers of this field. On the left is Rune Aslid, a civil engineer who developed the first TCD system. On the right is Merrill Spencer, a vascular physiologist known for his work with ultrasound flow meters. Aslid's groundbreaking publication marked the first non-invasive measurement of cerebral blood flow velocities through the intact skull. He published extensively on cerebral hemodynamics, including studies on cerebral autoregulation and intracranial pressure. Merrill Spencer applied ultrasound flow meters to extracorporeal systems used during cardiac surgery. He recognized the threat of gaseous emboli to brain function and was the first to describe solid emboli reaching the brain using TCD. His landmark paper appeared in Stroke in 1992 and laid the foundation for stroke prevention using this technology. This early grayscale TCD recording by Dr. Spencer shows a short-lasting systolic intensity increase caused by a solid embolus. At the time, many would have misclassified this as high-intensity background speckle. However, Spencer identified the embolus by its distinct musical signature based on his prior observations. Another key contributor is British clinical scientist Sundri Padiachi, who published the first clinical observation of gaseous emboli during TCD monitoring in cardiac surgery in 1987. Let's now move from history to the modern detection of MS and the criteria used to identify them. A headband with an ultrasound probe is used to measure blood flow velocity within a specific sample volume of the middle cerebral artery. Emboli produce intensity spikes lasting only a few milliseconds, requiring dedicated software for reliable detection. The primary signal source for MES detection is the audio signal generated by the Doppler frequency shift. This shift falls within the audible range and enables the construction of both the velocity and power spectra, where MS appear as short bursts of increased intensity. In 1995, an international committee of TCD experts established the foundational MES criteria based on intensity, duration, and velocity. However, the most distinctive characteristic, the chirping or bleeping sound, was described using subjective terms. From the outset, it was clear that these criteria were not exhaustive. About 25% of emboli fall below the 3 decibel intensity threshold. Gaseous emboli may exceed the 300 millisecond duration limit. No distinction was made between solid and gaseous emboli. The subjective interpretation of sound introduces bias due to individual differences in auditory perception. The question arises, what makes a sound musical? A sound becomes musical when it possesses qualities that align with how humans perceive and organize sound aesthetically. Musical sounds are characterized by structured variations in intensity and frequency, but also involve timbre, harmonics, and overtones, factors that color how we emotionally perceive sound. Let's now examine what makes a solid MS sound musical. In this figure, one can see the audio signal related to the passage of a single solid embolus. This MS exhibits a clear intensity increase on the vertical axis and every regular zero crossings on the horizontal axis. The background signal or speckle, which is marked by blue circles, has irregular zero crossings, similar to white noise. In contrast, the MES-related zero crossings marked by the red circle show a highly regular pattern, resulting in a sound similar to a whistle. This observation led us to develop mathematical parameters to objectively quantify musicality. Let's take a moment to explore some of the tools used to analyze the frequency dynamics of embolic signals. The fast Fourier transform, or FFT, originally developed by James Cooley and John Tukey, is a cornerstone of frequency domain analysis. I also developed and published the Zero Crossing Index, or ZCI, a tool specifically designed to capture short-term regularity in MES signals. In our research, my colleagues and I have also applied advanced techniques such as nonlinear forecasting and wavelet decomposition to transcranial Doppler time series. These methods, however, were not developed by us. They are well-established analytical frameworks, shaped over decades by numerous mathematicians, physicists, and engineers. Our contribution lies in adapting and validating these approaches specifically for emboli detection in TCD recordings. Let's explore how musical characteristics can be translated into numbers through the Zero Crossing Index, or ZCI, which I introduced in 2008. This slide illustrates an audio signal with a short MS burst. The ZCI, computed from the pattern of zero crossings, shows low variability during embolus passage, highlighting the MES's structured nature. The ZCI varies between 0 and infinity. Signals with a ZCI of 0 exhibit 100% regular zero crossings. Our observations showed that most gaseous emboli have ZCI between 0 and 5, while solids have ZCI values between 5 to 25. Speckle in general has ZCI values between 100 and 200. In this figure, we show the actual ZCI values of the embolus versus the speckle. As expected, the ZCI for this MES is a factor 40 lower than for background speckle. These measurable musical features enable AI to classify emboli, potentially outperforming human experts. Next, we examine the various types of high-intensity transients, hits, seen in TCD. As this slide shows, hits vary widely in shape and dynamics. To make sense of this, we use a binary classification tree. Normal TCD signals consist of rapid, short fluctuations, Doppler speckle. We must distinguish these from true hits and further classify hits into artifacts or emboli, including their subtypes. Let's start to review the speckle. These recordings illustrate the temporal variations in speckle patterns during systolic and diastolic phases at a time window of 50 milliseconds. Systolic speckle typically exhibits higher frequency components compared to diastolic speckle, a phenomenon attributable to the elevated blood flow velocities present during systole. A thorough understanding of these speckle dynamics is essential for accurately distinguishing between embolic signals and artifactual noise. To further elucidate speckle dynamics, it is important to note that speckle intensity appears less dense during systole relative to diastole. In this slide, systolic regions are indicated by blue arrows, while diastolic regions are marked with white arrows. Detailed analysis of our recordings reveals that certain high-intensity speckle elements can occasionally exceed the 3 decibel threshold typically used for microembolic signal detection. Consequently, this overlap can complicate the differentiation between transient, low-intensity emboli and background speckle noise. This slide presents examples of recurrent high-intensity speckle commonly observed during the diastolic phase. These speckle events often exhibit a clustering pattern. To emphasize this phenomenon, we reduce the dynamic range of the TCD velocity spectrum, thereby enhancing the visibility of multiple high-intensity speckle elements. This method of intensity scaling may assist in distinguishing between isolated, solid, low-intensity emboli and clustered high-intensity speckle artifacts. In this case of a patient with an unstable carotid artery stenosis, Two high-intensity transients were recorded over a 30-minute interval. This raises the diagnostic question. Do these represent true embolic events or merely fluctuations in high-intensity speckle? Notably, this transient occurred within a cloud of low-intensity speckle. Upon reducing the intensity scale, only a single discrete dot remained visible, supporting our interpretation of this transient as a solid embolus of short duration. To summarize, proper verification of MES should be done by looking at the audio signal with a sweep time of 50 milliseconds. That enables the human expert to look at the zero-crossing dynamics. In case of doubt between speckle and real emboli, reducing the dynamic range of the TCD velocity spectrum might be very helpful. In my opinion, looking at zero-crossing dynamics is much more helpful for verification of TCD time series than listening to the audio signal of a given high-intensity transients. Let's proceed to the solid emboli. Solid emboli typically accelerate during systole and decelerate during diastole. They appear in the solid belt of the velocity spectrum. Solid emboli are short-lived, rhomboid in shape, and produce moderate intensity increases with low ZCI values. Solid emboli generally show aligned velocity and waveform vectors. Paradoxical vector patterns are uncommon for solids and are characteristic of gaseous emboli. This example illustrates a gaseous embolus with opposing waveform and velocity vectors, a hallmark of its type. Some large solid emboli create a secondary low-intensity transient, called the lambda sign, caused by flow disturbances in the wake of the embolus. Clustering of MES can indicate the anatomical source. Systolic MES, terminal carotid siphon, diastolic MES, proximal internal carotid stenosis, mixed MES, cardiac origin. Let now proceed to the gaseous emboli. Due to their low mass, gaseous emboli follow irregular oscillatory paths and may appear anywhere in the velocity spectrum. TCD with induced air loads can reveal 5 distinct subtypes of MES. From left to right, one can see single bubbles, frequency-modulated emboli, frequency-modulated emboli overloading the TCD system, showers of multiple macrogaseous emboli, and curtains of dense microemboli clouds. This slide shows the raw audio signal underlying 3 different types of gaseous emboli. The sweep speed of these time series is approximately 50 milliseconds. The type A gaseous embolus is similar to the dynamics we already discussed in a single solid embolus. The very high-intensity signal in the middle induces a so-called clipped or truncated signal due to the overloading the TCD system. The zero-crossing dynamics of this signal are so regular that it looks like a barcode icon. Its zero-crossing values are close to 0. The graph on the right shows the dynamics underlying a curtain. These multiple overlapping microemboli do, in contrast to a shower, not overload the TCD system. This distorted signal consists of a mixture of spiky and partially sinusoidal-looking events called oscillatory bursts. The last hits we will discuss are the artifacts. Artifacts appear as symmetric intensity spikes around the baseline and exhibit usually low frequencies and high Z, CI values. Speech artifacts are an exception, sometimes mimicking MS. 3 common artifact types are movement artifacts, electronic noise, musical, speech-related artifacts, all centered around the baseline with distinctive features. This slide illustrates the raw Doppler audio signal associated with 3 distinct artifacts. The left trace represents movement artifact. Because of this movement, the TCD signal shows a very low frequency oscillation of the baseline. In the velocity spectrum, this results in bilateral waxing and waning intensity increases around the baseline. Notice that the sweep speed of this signal is 500 milliseconds a factor, 10 greater than the figures in the middle and on the right side. The middle trace demonstrates an artifact which was induced by an electronic switch. The signal shows a distinct spike followed by a wave. The rightmost trace corresponds to a speech artifact. It shows multiple frequencies which evoke sometimes highly regular zero crossings. Therefore, they are called musical artifacts. Let me conclude with 4 key statements. 1. Hits may indicate emboli and must be distinguished from speckle and artifacts. Second hits have diverse characteristics across audio, velocity, and power spectra. 3. With this knowledge, you can reliably identify patients with true solid emboli who are at risk for stroke. 4. Acting on this risk can have a major impact on patient outcomes. I would like to thank you for watching this video. For more details on Delica's advanced emboli detection software, email info@delicazs.com, website www.delicamd.com, or look at the website of Dr. Kunin, www.embolusdetection.com.